we have a generation who is heading off to college or to the workplace without as much experience with independence.
Yeah.
And so I give talks on college campuses fairly frequently. And what I hear over and over and over, especially from staff who run the dorms or the counseling center, they'll say, I have more and more students who can't make even simple decisions without texting their parents.
Yeah.
And then I hear this from managers too, who hire young employees that, stories that will just blow your mind. Like, I decided not to hire somebody because she brought her mom for the job interview, or the young woman who brought her dad for the performance review a year into the job.
Yeah.
Some accounting firms who hire a lot of young college graduates have actually started to direct their recruiting materials to parents, because they know that these
Interesting.
22-year-olds often don't make these decisions on their own. They are still
Wow.
getting their parents' advice, if not complete direction. So when people live longer, for example, and there's more technology and education takes longer to finish, you end up with what psychologists call a slow life strategy,
Hmm.
meaning you take longer to grow up and longer to grow old. So it's the origin of a lot of things we see. Adolescents being less independent, young adults taking longer to marry and have children and settle into careers. But it's also the origin of 50 is the new 40, 60 is the new 50, because people live longer and are healthier for longer. And then another downstream impact is individualism, more focus on the self and less on others, which technology allows you to do. You can be more independent and you're not spending as much time on just survival. So
Yeah.
you have more time to think about the self. And that explains a lot too, about, um, say, for millennials, the emphasis on self-esteem and self-confidence, that Gen X had some of that too. The emphasis on equality, because when you treat people as individuals instead of as members of groups, what you say is, you know, why do we have these unequal structures for people of
Yeah.
different races and ethnicities and genders and sexual orientations? Let's break that down. But all of these are rooted at the end of the day in technology and the changes it's wrought.
Can we talk about why you call it a slow life strategy? The word strategy specifically, because I think when
Mhm.
people see, millennials or Gen Z taking longer to grow up or, reach those life milestones, they assume it's not a choice, it's laziness, it's the fact that they weren't well equipped, they were coddled, whatever. Is there a reason why you call it a strategy?
Yeah, so it's definitely not rooted in laziness or anything about, say, the Great Recession or any of those things where it's usually attributed to. Instead, it's a byproduct of a longer life
Yeah.
and of education taking longer to finish. So
Hmm.
of course people marry later and settle into careers later, because so many more, for example, so many more millennials have a college degree.
Yeah.
That's and you need that to be competitive in the current marketplace. So that the idea of calling it a strategy, I wouldn't necessarily choose that label. It comes from the psychology research, from
Mm.
evolutionary psychology, where there's a slow life strategy and a fast life strategy, and it's a reproductive strategy. That's where this
Mm.
idea originally comes from, is the idea. And then, there's the outgrowths of it, where how it ends up looking in modern life, which is slightly different. But the fast life strategy, at least in the original theory, is you have a lot of children and you just hope it works out. So, like mid 20th century, that was kind of the model. For a lot of human history, that was the model, because healthcare wasn't as good. Infant and child mortality was high. You probably had a farm where you needed children to be your farm workers. You didn't know how many were going to survive to adulthood, so you had a lot of the kids, and then they learned to be independent pretty early because parents were pulled in lots of different directions. And it's at a less technologically advanced time when you didn't need to go to college. So you were
Yeah.
independent at 15 or 16, if not younger.
Yeah.
And then the slow life strategy, when things are more stable, when there's more technology, when there's more birth control too, which is also technology, you have fewer children and nurture them more carefully, and they take longer to grow up. So you put more attention to each child and they grow to independence later.